Hey guys, I'm here in my redstone world again, and today we're finally going to go over something that I absolutely love. We're going to be using the power of pistons. Now, I love pistons. Pistons are amazing. So you can make so many things with pistons, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Pistons are like the center of redstone in a way. So I'll just go over with you guys again what pistons could do. Sorry. Pistons, the regular piston and the sticky piston, right here, both can only push a total of 12 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And over here, we're going to put 12 as well, just so I can show that it works. See here? I'm going to flick this lever right here. It should push. That's 12 blocks. Here's 12 blocks. However, sticky pistons will pull the block that's in front of them. But you're asking, what about all these blocks? There is one solution for that, and all I can say is slime blocks. Slime blocks are really, really interesting, and I absolutely love to mess with them a lot. So, here's your sticky piston, and right here is a slime block. Of course, you can use redstone blocks or whatever, but let's say you have like a few slime blocks, like let's say 3 of them all together, right? Pushes them all, pulls them all back. Because slime blocks are connected to each other, literally. They cannot unconnect. And also, they connect to things that are attached to them. So if I surround this with blocks here, it will work. See? It pulls it all back with it. Now, there's only one problem. You think, oh yeah, I can put 12 blocks. But the slime blocks do count too. As you can see, it doesn't work. When you're making slime block creations, you have to remember that a piston can only push or pull 12 blocks, including slime blocks and the redstone blocks attached to them or anything. Pistons can only push 12 blocks maximum. So that is something really, really, really important. When you're making your redstone creations, please keep that in mind. You cannot push all the blocks you want. There is a limit. But you will have to think around that. For example, a sticky piston, can push another sticky piston, which can pull a block back like that. And I believe that device is called a double piston extender, but I'm not fully aware of what those do or whatever. I mean, there's something essential for lots of bigger creations. I don't really use them all that much because I think I'm fine with my 1 block redstone creations. But anyways, there's so many different things you can do with pistons. You can see most of these devices actually do use pistons. So now I'm just going to show you guys something really cool. Pistons and slime blocks are awesome and all, but there's only one thing you guys are missing out on. Pistons can move stuff, right? Can they move stuff infinitely? Yeah, there is a way. These are the 2 basic devices you can use. I'll use a flint and steel to update them. Basically, how this works. This regular piston pushes all of these 4 blocks here. They push all this forward. This redstone block activates the block that's adjacent to it. This redstone block powers this block, which powers the blocks next to it. It's kind of weird how it works. Sort of. Well, not exactly, but it's just really weird. But these pistons are updated by that block. Notice that this is a sticky piston. So when this piston pushes all this over, this sticky piston will be updated because it was moved. This redstone block will power it, which means that this piston will push this slime block out. This slime block sticks to this one, and because this redstone block is not in front of it anymore, it will retract, pulling this piston with it. This whole thing is pushing this one. When this one gets on top of this, there's a redstone block next to the piston, and that makes this piston push the slime blocks and will pull this redstone block with it. Now then, here's the same thing, except that instead, you just use the same thing with the redstone block on top. And for some reason, it only works when it is on top. I have no idea why it doesn't work on all the other ways, but just understand you can simplify it by only placing the block on top. Now, if you're making multiple layers, be careful, because if you have a layer on top, it will activate the pistons. So that's something to be aware about. You can also do the same thing going up, right here. This one activates this one, and this one activates this one. That's what all you really need to know. Now we just turn this on so you can kind of see the idea. There it is in action, the one going straight up. And we demonstrate these 2 here. As you can see here, they both move at exactly the same speed, so it doesn't really matter. As you can see here, they work completely. As you can see, the redstone block is going back and forth, and you can kind of see the motion in which they're doing this. It's pretty cool. Of course, you can stop these using bedrock or by making them run into any wall or whatever if the pistons can't push that much. So we're going to go over here. Let me demonstrate some more examples of this idea. So here we have pistons pushing. This piston here will push all this forward, which will push all this forward. Then we'll push all this forward here, which will push this forward, which will push this forward again. If that sounds complicated, just watch. It's a giant circle in a way. This is one cool way that you can make your redstone creations a bit different. It's slower than the rest, so if you don't want something as fast, you can do this. Of course, this is the maximum blocks, I believe, or whatever. Basically, you can't attach things to these two, but the rest are a bit full. It's slower, but you kind of get the idea. The pistons are pushing all the rest in this cycle. It's almost like a loop, almost like a little paradox. It's powering itself constantly. It's like an infinite machine. I gotta say, if real life worked like this, then basically we would be having lots of self-powering things by now. But of course, this is the same idea as the first two, but this is just at a bigger scale, so you can kind of see the idea. This piston pushes all this forward. This piston pushes this forward. Of course, when this is here, it also makes it pull that. So let's just watch that in action here. As you can see here, it's basically working in that same way. Pistons are very, very interesting in this way. You can make all sorts of different things here. For example, this machine here, the sand eater, it basically uses this here to power this, and it'll pull sand which falls on there, and it'll basically just give you your sand inside the hopper, which is pretty cool. And of course, one thing you can also mess around with is missiles. So of course, I got these 6 off of YouTube, and I got lots of other designs there, but I might show those all in a live stream in some other video. But in the meantime, let me just go over these from the internet. You can kind of look at the video. I'll provide a link in the description to the video with the tutorials for each of these. I don't fully understand this one, so I can't replicate the design, but all the rest I completely understand. But let me just go over the way the missile works, and I think it's best if we go with this here. So, if we look here, it's the simple machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those 7 blocks you'll see all the time. But you'll see something different. Lots of TNT, right? It's basically adding another one of these right here, with this just pushing this piston. Make sure this piston is not directly next to the slime block here, or else it'll be powered and it will get stuck. But you see this part here, it doesn't have a piston on it, but it has lots of TNT. And you see this redstone block here? Notice how there's this one piece right here? This part right here is stuck here. When the whole missile stops, you notice that with all these, right? They would have a little space, right? But notice how they get all crushed at the very front. What the missiles do, the front is stuck, so it goes back. But this part is not stuck, so it keeps going forward. So this part right here presses on this redstone block and will activate, causing the whole thing to explode in a chain reaction. And that's how it works. Just make sure that each of these pistons can only push 12 blocks, including the TNT and redstone blocks and everything. So you must be very careful with all of these designs. Now then, missiles. TNT here. This is your basic missile, which is pretty good. There's another missile design. This missile design is special because, of course, if you have a bow enchanted with flame, you can shoot TNT and ignite it, which causes the whole thing to self-destruct if it is an air-based missile. If it's a land-based missile, then all the TNT will fall off. But of course, let's just demonstrate here. You shoot it, and this piston will push out, and this arrow will just go flying off. This here moves faster than all the others because pistons are constantly updating each other. But it's a bit hard to explain. I can't exactly go over that. And of course, this here is really interesting. If the front of your missile doesn't have all that much, right? If it's like almost empty, what you could do is that if this front piece here covers the rest, in the front like a giant wall, it will pick up the blocks and it will go through the wall, which is super cool. And of course, this missile here is just covered in TNT. You can make it just like absolutely covered. And of course, this one's really cool because what happens, let's say this part stops, right? It keeps updating, basically. It just lights all these one at a time. So I guess I'll just demonstrate each of these, possibly. So of course, I think I'll go over this one just to demonstrate its ability to go through walls. See, this part doesn't have that much TNT or anything on it. It's just super empty. Just look what it does. That is amazing, isn't it? Really, really awesome. And of course, over here, let me just demonstrate this one real quick. Okay, just make that go along, and I'll make it explode early. Just don't worry about waiting. So let me just go off to here and start making this work. Just look at what happens here. You see this TNT right here? It keeps going forward. Now that is a really interesting concept. I absolutely love the idea. And of course, TNT is really amazing. You can do so much with it. I think in my next TNT video, or redstone video, I'll be explaining the science behind TNT. So in the meantime, I guess that's it for your basic understanding of pistons and what they do. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Hopefully you found this useful.